You tumble from a shallow den as the sun blazes overhead. Your fur is damp, your eyes barely open, and a jackal snarls nearby. A gust of wind carries the scent of a prowling hyena, and your heart pounds. Every breath you take could be your last, and the pack watches your struggle. Your siblings scramble for the same milk, while predators circle, waiting for a misstep. Survival here means learning to hunt, to hide, and to fight before you even run. You discover the brutal odds each wild dog pup faces. You see why being born into this world feels like a relentless battle. You already feel the heat of the savannah pressing against your newborn coat. And the pack's low growl vibrates through the dry air. You learn that your kind, the African wild dog, carries a lineage that stretches back 2 million years. A line traced by paleontologists through ancient fossils found in Southeast Africa. Those bones tell a story of a predator built for speed, with long legs and a spotted coat that blends into the golden grass. You discover that every pup joins a tightly knit pack that hunts together, shares food, and raises each other's young. Researchers at the Wildlife Conservation Society note that packs rarely exceed 30 members. And each individual holds a specific role: scout, driver, or rear guard. From the moment you open your eyes, you are expected to learn the rhythm of the hunt, the code of the howl, and the hierarchy that decides who eats first. You sense why this birth feels like a curse. The species endures one of the highest juvenile mortality rates on the continent. Studies by the IUCN show that up to 70% of pups never survive their first year. Predators stalk every shadow, disease spreads through the tightly packed den, and scarce prey forces the pack into relentless travel. Your survival hinges on speed, cooperation, and a brutal selection that spares only the strongest. From the first breath, the world already tests you with danger you cannot yet understand. Now you move from the story of where the pack starts to the moments that shape every wild dog's life. Each step follows the next like a chain of hard-won lessons. You feel the heat of the den as your mother gives birth. Your eyes open to dim light and the scent of fresh blood. Within minutes, a hungry jackal circles the entrance, ears pricked, eyes fixed on the trembling newborns. Your siblings gasp, your heart pounds, and the pack's guard snarls, forcing the predator to retreat. You crawl out of the den onto cracked earth. The sun burns your fur, the wind carries the stench of carrion. You watch your mother hunt, her jaws snapping at a hair. You try to steal a bite, but a larger pup snaps your ear and you learn to wait. Every rustle could be a snake, every shadow a hyena. You learn to read the ground, to dodge the sudden snap of a trapdoor rockslide that the desert throws at you. You grow stronger, your legs lengthen, your teeth sharpen. You join the pack's chase, lungs burning as you sprint across open plains. You feel the rush of a successful kill, the blood spatter on your muzzle. You also taste defeat when a rival breaks your leg during a territorial clash, leaving you limping under a scorching sky. You reach adulthood, the scent of a heat-ripe female draws you to a rocky ridge. You compete with other males, teeth flashing, voices echoing across the valley. You win a mate, but the fight leaves you scarred. You watch pups emerge, their cries mixing with the howl of distant wolves, reminding you that every new life repeats the same brutal cycle. You age as the pack thins. Injuries linger, food becomes scarce, and the cold night bites deeper. You hear the howl of a lone hyena circling, feel the weight of fatigue in each step. You know that death will come, by predator, by starvation, or by the slow wear of time, yet the cycle continues. Each pup forced to endure the same relentless struggle you once faced. You hear the distant howl of the alpha faltering, a ragged bark that cracks the night. The pack circles tighter, eyes flicking to the wounded leader, blood staining the dry earth. You feel the weight of their gaze settle on you, a sudden heavy pressure that pushes your heart faster. Instinct tells you to stay hidden, to wait for the next hunt, but the scent of danger hangs thick, like iron in the wind. A pack of hyenas stalks the edge of your territory, their snarls echoing off the basalt rocks. You sense the looming clash, the raw fear that tightens every muscle. In that split second, you make a choice that reshapes everything. You step forward, ears pricked, teeth bared, and let out a sharp, commanding bark that cuts through the night. The sound reverberates, startling the hyenas and rallying the younger wolves. You feel their bodies tense, then surge forward, moving as one. Your mind maps the terrain, rocky outcrops, shallow gullies, the narrow canyon where the hyenas hide. You lead the charge, slipping through the shadows, timing each sprint with the rhythm of the pack's paws. The hyenas snap, but you dodge their jaws, using a fallen log as a shield. When the battle ends, the scent of blood mingles with the earthy aftertaste of victory. The pack circles you, heads lowered in respect, eyes bright with new trust. You realize that this moment, your sudden rise to leadership, shifts the balance of survival. From now on, every hunt, every threat, bears the imprint of that night's decision. After the hunt, you watch the pups huddle. You realize the next truth hides beneath that warmth. You feel the birthing den's narrow tunnel, a cramped burrow lined with dry grass. The mother delivers 10 or more blind pups in a single night, each one trembling with a heartbeat barely louder than a whisper. You notice their skin is thin, their scent weak, and a single gust of wind can wash away the smell that keeps the pack together. Because the scent fades quickly, you watch a sibling step forward, nudging the weaker pup toward the edge where a hyena's growl waits. You sense a silent threat spreading through the den. Parasites cling to the pup's fur, tiny mites that bite and bleed. You feel the pack's grooming, a frantic lick that tries to scrub the bugs away. Yet the mites multiply faster than the licks can clear. This hidden infestation makes the pups lose body heat, and you watch their temperature drop by degrees in minutes. You taste the sharp tang of milk as the mother nurses, but you also feel the tug of competition. You see each pup jostle for a gulp, the strongest stealing the bulk while the smaller ones sip the leftovers. You realize that only a few pups get enough nutrition to grow strong enough for the first hunt. You hear distant gunshots and smell the smoke of a nearby village. You recognize that domestic dogs carry rabies, and a single bite can wipe out an entire litter within days. The disease spreads through the same close contact that once kept the pack safe. You notice the pack's secret alarm call, a high-pitched whoop that travels miles. You understand that this call warns of danger, but also alerts predators to the den's location. The very tool that unites the pack becomes a beacon for threats. All these hidden layers stack together, making each newborn wild dog face a gauntlet far harsher than the open savanna ever shows. You step from the hidden burrows into the open savanna, where the people behind the struggle of a wild dog pup emerge. You feel the heat of the sun on your skin as a park ranger waves you forward, his badge catching the light. You watch Dr. Andrew Loveridge crouch beside a fresh kill, his notebook open, eyes scanning the trembling pups for signs of injury. You hear his voice explain that every scar tells a story of the pack's fight for food, and his motivation burns bright. Keep the species from vanishing. You turn toward a Maasai herder who walks beside a lone wolf-like dog, his hand resting on its neck. You sense his pride in the animal's speed, yet you also feel his worry that the pack may raid his livestock. His role shifts between protector and negotiator, balancing tradition with the need to coexist. You notice an NGO field assistant, Maya, setting camera traps while humming a song her grandmother sang about the ghosts of the grass. She tells you she fights for funding because each grant saves a litter that would otherwise disappear. You watch a poacher's shadow linger near the waterhole, his motives hidden behind desperation. You realize his presence adds another layer of danger, forcing the pups to dodge both predators and human greed. You understand that every person you meet, scientist, herder, activist, or poacher, shapes the harsh reality of being born a wild dog, pulling the fragile thread of survival tighter with each step. You have just met the alpha, the beta, the lone wanderers that shape every move. Now you watch the ripple that each birth sends across the savanna. You feel the ground tremble as a fresh litter joins the pack, and you hear the sudden surge of hungry eyes. You notice how the extra mouths draw more prey from the surrounding grasslands, thinning the herds that other hunters also rely on. You sense the shift in territory lines as neighboring packs sense the new scent marks. You watch the borders stretch, the fences of invisible claim expanding outward. You hear distant growls from rival wolves, each trying to claim the same waterhole now crowded with extra bodies. You see the cascade. More pups mean more hunting trips, more wear on the pack's stamina, more chances of injury. You smell the scent of fear when humans spot the larger pack. You hear the crack of rifle fire, the sudden silence that follows a shot. You feel the loss ripple through the pack's hierarchy. The alpha's confidence wavering, the beta stepping forward. The whole group reshaping its strategy. You watch disease travel faster when pups crowd together, parasites spreading through fur and blood. You notice how a single outbreak can thin the pack, leaving vacant roles that other predators quickly fill. You sense the broader impact on the ecosystem. Fewer predators let prey numbers swell, altering vegetation, changing fire patterns, reshaping the whole. You realize that every birth carries a weight far beyond a single life, echoing through pack, prey, and people alike. You feel the weight of the facts you just heard, and the doubts start to rise. You hear scientists argue that a wild dog's birth is a brutal lottery, not a miracle. You hear conservationists claim that human boarders turn that lottery into a death trap. You sense the clash between two worlds, nature's raw rule and humanity's footprint. You watch a researcher point to a pack's tight bond as proof that cooperation saves each pup. You hear another voice stress that that same bond draws disease like rabies, wiping out whole litters in weeks. You notice the debate over which factor hurts more, predator attacks or parasites carried by livestock. You wonder if the answer even matters when both forces strike at the same time. You listen to local hunters who say wild dogs steal livestock, so they deserve the hunt. You hear a biologist reply that loss of prey forces the pack into farms, creating a vicious circle. You feel the tension rise as each side pulls the argument tighter, refusing to let the other win. You sit with the unanswered questions that still hover. You ask whether climate shifts will push packs into new territories, or if new vaccines could halt disease waves. You realize no single answer settles the clash. You understand the controversy lives on, as sharp and unsettled as the life of a wild dog born into the wild. You leave the debate behind and turn to the inner workings that shape every wild dog pup's fate. You feel the pack's blood pulse through the dry savanna, a rhythm that drives survival. You realize genetics tie each pup to a fragile balance. You wear a coat that hides you in tall grass, yet the same coat attracts parasites. You notice the pack's hunting style relies on speed and teamwork, demanding each pup learn to chase and bite before the next sunrise. You sense disease lurking in the close-knit group. A single cough spreads through the den like a whisper in wind. You understand that the same social closeness that feeds you also fuels outbreaks of rabies and canine distemper, which claim many young lives each season. You recognize the pack's territory stretches for miles, forcing you to travel long distances for prey, draining energy before you master a hunt. You feel rival packs eyeing your scent, ready to steal kills or drive you away. You grasp that human farms encroach on these ranges, turning you into a target for traps and guns. You see how genetics, social disease risk vast ranges, and human conflict stack together, making the first breaths of a wild dog life a relentless battle. You realize each mechanism feeds the next, creating a cycle where birth itself feels like a curse. You feel the weight of every heartbeat echoing through your chest, a reminder that each pulse could be your last. You watch the pack move as a single, fluid unit, each stride carving the dry savanna under a relentless sun. You sense the thin line between predator and prey shifting with every rustle in the tall grass, a whisper that tells you survival is never guaranteed. You notice how the scent of fresh kill hangs in the air, mixing with the metallic tang of blood and the sharp sting of fear. You understand that the same scent also marks you as a target for lions, hyenas, and even the humans who patrol the edges of your range. You realize that the fierce loyalty you share with the pack also binds you to a cycle that leaves no room for weakness. You feel the ache of hunger gnawing at your ribs, the cold bite of night chilling your fur, and the sudden flash of a spear that could end it all in an instant. You recognize that every instinct you trust is a double-edged sword, sharpening both your hunt and your vulnerability. You recall the first gasp of wind that tore at your newborn fur, the moment that opened this story. Now that wind feels less like a promise and more like a warning. A silent lesson that being born a wild dog means living forever on the edge of extinction.